While some people carefully research every purchase, use everything they own, and pride themselves on being practical consumers, there's a massive group of people whose closets are filled with tags still attached, whose kitchen drawers hold gadgets never removed from packaging, and whose Amazon deliveries pile up unopened. And according to consumer psychology, this isn't just bad shopping habits. It's revealing something profound about how your brain processes hope, identity, and emotional regulation. Stay with me, because what I'm about to explain will completely change how you see those unused purchases gathering dust in your home. Here's what nobody talks about. Buying things you never use doesn't make you wasteful. It doesn't mean you're irresponsible with money. And it definitely doesn't mean you lack self-control. But there is something fascinating happening in your brain that makes the act of purchasing feel completely different from the act of using. And about 60% of people admit to regularly buying items that remain untouched, though the real number is probably much higher because most people are too ashamed to count. Let's start with the fundamental question. Why does your brain get so excited about buying something but completely lose interest the moment you own it? The answer lies in a neurological phenomenon called the pleasure gap. When you're shopping, your brain is flooded with dopamine, the anticipation chemical. You're imagining the version of yourself who owns this thing, the organized person with the label maker, the fit person with the yoga mat, the productive person with the planner. That imaginary future self is perfect, and buying the item feels like you're buying access to becoming that person. Research on consumer behavior shows that the peak of pleasure happens before the purchase, not after. The moment you click buy or swipe your card, your dopamine levels spike. You feel accomplished, hopeful, transformed. But the second the transaction completes, the dopamine crashes. The fantasy collapses. You're still you, just with more stuff. But here's where it gets really interesting from a psychological perspective. People who buy things they never use aren't shopping for objects. They're shopping for identity transformation. When you buy running shoes, you're not buying footwear. You're buying the identity of someone who runs. When you purchase that expensive cookbook, you're not buying recipes. You're buying the identity of someone who cooks elaborate meals. The object is just a symbol, a physical representation of who you wish you were. And the cruel irony is that actually using the item forces you to confront the gap between your ideal self and your real self. That yoga mat sitting in the corner, as long as it's unused, you can still tell yourself you're someone who does yoga. The moment you roll it out and struggle through 3 minutes of stretching, you have to face the reality that you're not actually that person. So your brain protects you from that disappointment by simply never using it. Think about it this way. Unused purchases are emotional insurance policies. They represent potential, possibility, the chance that someday you might become the person you want to be. Using them and failing would destroy that possibility, but leaving them untouched preserves the fantasy. Research from the Journal of Consumer Psychology found that people experience what's called option value, where simply owning something provides psychological benefit even without use. The potential to use it someday feels almost as good as actually using it, but without the risk of disappointment or effort. And then there's the completion illusion, which is genuinely fascinating from a neurological standpoint. Your brain experiences a sense of accomplishment from the purchase itself. When you buy the language learning app, your brain releases the same reward chemicals as if you'd actually learned the language. When you purchase the gym membership, you feel the satisfaction of becoming fit without doing a single workout. It's called goal completion by proxy. The purchase becomes a substitute for the actual behavior change. Studies using brain imaging show that buying self-improvement products activates the same reward centers as actual self-improvement. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between buying the solution and implementing it. Now, before everyone starts diagnosing themselves with shopping addiction, there's often a deeper pattern here. For some people, buying things they never use is actually about control and hope in a life that feels chaotic. Maybe their job is unfulfilling, so they buy craft supplies that represent creativity they can't express at work. Maybe their relationship feels stagnant, so they purchase fitness equipment that symbolizes the transformation they wish they could make. Maybe they feel powerless over their circumstances, so shopping becomes the one area where they can take action, make decisions, experience change. The unused items aren't failures, they're evidence of a person trying desperately to feel agency over their own life. But here's the part that explains so much about why some people use everything they buy while others accumulate unused items. It comes down to how you experience time and future self-continuity. People who use their purchases have strong future self-continuity. They genuinely believe that the person they'll be tomorrow is the same person they are today. So when they buy something, they're buying it for their actual self, who will actually use it. People who buy things they never use often have weak future self-continuity. Tomorrow me feels like a completely different person, a better person, a more disciplined person, someone who finally has their life together. So they're buying things for that imaginary future person, not for their actual self. And when tomorrow comes and they're still the same person they were yesterday, the item becomes irrelevant. Here's what researchers call the projection bias in consumer behavior. When you're shopping, you're in a heightened emotional state. You're excited, optimistic, motivated, and you assume you'll feel this way forever. So you buy the bread maker because right now, in this moment, you genuinely believe you'll wake up tomorrow morning eager to bake fresh bread. But tomorrow, you wake up tired, rushed, reaching for the same cereal you always eat. The version of you who shops is not the version of you who lives your actual daily life. And the items you buy in that optimistic state become monuments to that disconnect. And let's talk about the shame factor, because that's where things get really complicated. Every unused item in your home is a silent accusation. It's evidence of money wasted, intentions abandoned, fantasy selves never realized. Some people can look at these items and feel nothing, but others experience genuine distress. Each unopened package is a reminder of their own limitations, their inability to follow through, their failure to become who they promised themselves they'd be. Research on consumer regret shows that people often experience more guilt about unused purchases than about purchases they regret using, because at least a bad purchase that you used taught you something. An unused purchase just sits there, judging you. But here's what's really interesting. People who buy things they never use often report having difficulty with present moment awareness. They're so focused on who they could become that they struggle to engage with who they actually are right now. The unused treadmill represents future fit you, but actual you needs to deal with why you avoid exercise in the first place. The unread books represent future intellectual you, but actual you needs to examine why you struggle to focus. There's something quietly painful about that gap, and sometimes it's easier to keep buying solutions than to sit with the real problems. Now, let's be clear about something else. Sometimes buying things you never use is actually a form of emotional regulation that's gone haywire. Shopping provides an immediate mood boost. It's accessible, socially acceptable, instantly gratifying. When you're anxious, sad, bored, or overwhelmed, clicking purchase can provide temporary relief. The problem is that the relief is so temporary that you need to keep purchasing to maintain it. And each new purchase adds to the pile of unused items, which adds to the shame, which makes you need more emotional relief, which leads to more purchases. It becomes a cycle that's genuinely difficult to break. But here's the part that offers some hope. Understanding why you buy things you never use is the first step toward changing the pattern. If you're buying identity transformation, you need to ask yourself what's preventing you from being that person right now without the purchase. If you're buying emotional regulation, you need to find healthier ways to manage difficult feelings. If you're buying hope for a better future, you need to examine what's blocking you from taking actual steps toward that future. So what does all this mean? If you have a closet full of unused purchases, you're not a failure who lacks discipline. You're someone whose brain is desperately trying to close the gap between who you are and who you want to be. Your dopamine system responds more strongly to possibility than reality. Your future self feels disconnected from your present self. And your emotional regulation system has learned that buying provides faster relief than dealing with underlying issues. None of this makes you broken, it makes you human. The next time you're about to click purchase on something you know deep down you'll never use, pause and ask yourself this: am I buying an object or am I buying an escape from dealing with why I'm not already the person I want to be? The answer might be uncomfortable, but it's also the beginning of actually addressing what those unused items have been trying to tell you all along. If this resonated with you, you're going to want to understand why some people hoard screenshots and photos they never look at again, and why this digital clutter reveals the same psychological patterns as physical unused purchases. Click to discover why your camera roll is a graveyard of intentions you'll never revisit.